Remember last week when I said I didn't want to jinx it? I jinxed it. We're in the Trommel Cut still, got both dozers in there finally, and that's when things started going wrong and picked up speed. But I will show you the gold that we jigged last week. Let's get right into it. Well, it's another day in the Trommel Cut. We were excited to load out that pay and keep going with that cut, but the Trommel had other plans for us.
Ooh, that's not good. Not good. Well, David, I think we'll be sluicing for a bit. The Trommel finally said we're done. On the end of the barrel here, where the drive tire drives the barrel, you see there's a crack up there too. On these, there's holes, like bolt holes, and then up top where it actually broke, it pushed all the way through. So there's about a foot section that's broke. And it's thin, it's super thin, just from the rocks wearing it. So yeah, so we're gonna have to fix that. So barrel's coming off, reinforce it, fix all the cracks. And then finally, we've been waiting all season to finally cut all this punch plate out, put new punch plate in. So we won't be sluicing for a while, at least a week. We've been patching the punch plate all year, and we're lucky we got this far with it. And then now this definitely stopped us, so we're gonna have to do it. So dump box off, spray bar out, barrel off on the ground, cut all the punch plate out, start bending it and put new stuff in. Every second day I'd be in there patching the punch plate, putting new pieces in just to get us by. We got quite a few months out of it. It's made us some money, but none of this patching anymore. Like, we got all this beautiful brand new punch plate over here. 5/8, so it should last a really long time. We just gotta cut the old stuff out, cut these sheets in half, bend them, weld them in, and we'll be back sluicing. The punch plate, like the patches we've been putting in, have been holding up. If it wasn't for the end of the barrel where it drives, then we probably could have got a couple more weeks out of it, but we should have done it in the spring, but we were busy and we were behind, and we need to get some stripping done. So we'll just spend the next 2 days stripping, getting the Trommel Cut down to pay dirt. And yeah, we got all the tools to finally fix this thing properly. Steel's been here for about 3 weeks now, so we just got to get at it and get it done.
The Trommel might be down, but now is the perfect time to throw us all in there and get that cut stripped down to pay. All right, still in the Trommel Cut because the Trommel exploded. Needs some work, so in the meantime, while we get that sorted, we all went together and expanded the Trommel Cut, so we're stripping it while we get our act together to get the energy to replace all the punch plate and do the repairs needed. So right now I'm loading out all the frozen muck and mud. These dozers are pushing up so that they have more room to work and make more mud for me. And we're trying to get it down to gravel so it can thaw. But in the meantime, woo, we got a lot of work to do. And now I am pulling back on the edge of the cut so Frisco can get back in here and rip some more so we have a nice clean cut line. It's a little bit precarious because you're just sitting on frozen lumps all the time, but it's kind of exciting. We've all kind of got a rhythm going here, and we're just pouring the diesel to it so we can sluice it before winter comes. It's so nice. We haven't been able to have the dozers in here till yesterday. It's just been too muddy. They were just sinking and getting stuck, so finally we've gotten it stripped down. Liam and I must have loaded out, I don't know, 400 loads in the last couple days here. And finally both dozers can get in and we can really let the dirt fly so we can get at her. Alan's up in this nice dry dirt, no mud whatsoever, just playing away, and he's put Frisco in the pit with me. So if anyone's gonna get stuck, it's gonna be Frisco, and he knows it. But he's game, he pretty much knows the deal, so it'll be funny. And I'm sure David will be right here with the camera, catch it all. The usual. I'm thinking this is like 20, 30 feet of frozen overburden. So a lot of ripping. I have to pay attention here because I don't want to ruin my brand new cutting edge and wear parts that Frisco put in. And we're just getting it done and making the dirt go away from here and into our old cut, which we are reclaiming. And we have to do it this way because you can see how narrow this valley is and how high these hills are. There is no way we are going to be pushing that up here. All right, that'll give him some room so he can rip the next stretch. There's Frisco. Look at that. Pushing dirt right at me. Look at this little thinks he's being funny. He's burying me.
As requested, all I can see is the whole boom.
What's that?
All I can see is the boom now.
Yeah, I figured you're being a smart ass burying me in mud. Now I got my own big pile. Now I'm back to loading Liam. So off we go. I wish that Volvo rock truck was running. Unfortunately, it has been a lawn ornament for 2 years now. We have had 8 different mechanics try and work on it to fix it. Not Volvo mechanics, because you can't get one up here because they work on a reality show. It's impossible to get them. I think we've spent, I don't know, 80, 90 grand on mechanic bills so far, and it still doesn't run. Volvo gave us a quote for what they do think is wrong with us and quoted us 140 grand to fix it. And they wanted a month or something. And it's like, man, I tell ya, not ideal, because we could have 2 trucks hauling out of this cut, but nope, those are the breaks sometimes. I'll continue loading Liam with all this crap they've pushed up to me, and hopefully we'll be down to gravel on a big stretch of this by the end of today, I hope. So, just another day playing in the mud, in the ice.
And here we go, back in our poor old Liebherr. We haven't had any place for this poor thing to work for almost 2 months. The cut behind us was 15 feet of mud, and we put the D10 in there, and I promptly got stuck. And the next day, Frisco got stuck, and we haven't been able to get the dozers in there ever since. Almost all the stripping was up to the excavators, which is okay, but when you can get the excavator's truck going and the dozers going, well, it speeds things up immensely. This entire hillside has been giving us fits because there's giant springs about every 100 feet, and they saturate the entire hillside, like this spring that's just behind me. And so we have mud, endless bottomless mud. But this particular spot is so dry that it's actually dusty. And you never know that until you come over here and start digging. So we have found a perfect spot for the Liebherr, and we actually finally have both dozers in the cut. You look off to my right where it's all sloped really nicely. We try to put the material up here in such a way that we reclaim it as we stack our overburden. So you essentially don't make a big mess. And as you're finishing up the last of your overburden, you slope it all so you don't ever have to come back up here again. Time is not on our side. We got the hills are starting to turn kind of pastel colors because some of the leaves are beginning to turn yellow. And we have got so much work left to do. And down underneath here, this ground's frozen. You're not going to get underneath it. It just thaws from the top, and it's a slow process. The best thawing months are June and July, and it's now the end of August. Fortunately, it's warm, but it's not going to last forever. So we have to get this overburden off as fast as possible. We're in like the 9th hour here. This is a great site for this thing, not only because it's dry, but typically you bring like a normal big dozer up here, they have steering clutches. So the only way you can steer them is by dropping a corner of the blade. You don't always want to do that. You're trying to keep your road flat. But if it starts to dig into the bank, it turns into the bank. So the only way to prevent it is to drop a corner bit, which may or may not work. So not only do you gouge the heck out of your road, and it'll turn right in on you, but because this thing has hydrostatic drive and it drives both tracks 100% of the time, you just apply a little bit more power to the track on the right hand side just by moving my left hand a hair to the side, which you probably can't even notice, but you can keep it going in a straight line as you're going along that edge, and you just let the blade fill from one side. It may not sound like very much, but when you run these things for 12 hours a day and you don't have to fight them, it's just, you don't get as much fatigue. So they all have their pros and cons, but this thing excels in that it's so quiet and so smooth, shifts so smooth. Even though it has speed, it has, for all intents and purposes, gears. It has first, second, and third, but then it has variations inside that where you can speed it up or slow it down in half-kilometer increments. So now we're set at 3 kilometers an hour. You push the button and it goes up another half. Now it's 4, 4.5, 5, and you can just keep bumping it up a little bit at a time. And it'll actually run this blade full out at 5.5 kilometers an hour. It's not an option on the other dozers. You have first, second, and third, and that's that. And they can only push half as much in second as what they can push in first. So if you have a heaping blade full in first gear, you're not shifted into second, you got to carry it out in first. And the D10 only moves at 3.5 kilometers an hour. This thing, once you're finished digging out a blade full and you're just in carry mode, you can just keep bumping it up. And so you can outpace the other dozers. And don't get me wrong, we love our big cat dozers, but they can't do this. Now we go by Frisco and give them a little wave just to piss them off.
I guess we were enjoying having 2 dozers in the cut a little bit too much. The 10 has got a problem.
Hello, David.
Sorry.
So, not stuck today, but broke down today. The cylinder's been leaking ever since, it's been weeping ever since we bought this dozer. But today, of course, when the cut's finally starting to get nice, decided to shit the bed. So the packing blew out of the gland, so it's just puking oil out. So unfortunately we're down. So this is the lift cylinder for the blade. This is the gland, then you got the barrel, and then you got a piston, obviously at the end of the rod. So there's a bunch of seals in here that holds all the pressure back. And as you can see, the seals are gone. Just finally blew out. And now it's leaking a bunch of hydraulic oil, so unfortunately we're down. Yeah, it's pretty serious because it's leaking so bad. We're gonna be down, so we'll have to get a packing coming and rip this cylinder off and rip it apart and just repack it. Time will probably be a couple days to get a packing, and we're probably looking, 3, 4, it depends how tight this nut's on. Like the nut on the end of the rod is normally what you fight. So we'll have to make a hammer wrench or something to get the nut off, and probably use a couple excavators and break the nut loose. So hopefully it all goes well. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, like I said, it was just getting nice in there. Al and I were both in there with both dozers, ripping and pushing, and it's all down frozen now, so it's actually a pretty nice site. And lo and behold, of course, now we're down to dozer. So, well, the bear will have to do the majority of the work, and we'll probably put a ripper on one of the hoes and do some ripping with the hoe as well. Yeah, it sucks. Like I said, the site was just getting nice. We had a bunch of spots that were thawed and not thawed, frozen and thawed, and now it's all frozen now, so it's just do your ripping and just push it, and it was getting nice, but sucks. Yeah, we'll leave it. Yeah, just leave it until we get the packing. Then it doesn't take much to get the cylinder off, and then we'll chain her up somewhere, and like I said, build a wrench so we can get an excavator on it. One excavator will hold it, and then we'll try to crack the nut because they are super tight. No dozing for me the rest of the day, so Allie wants to go cook us some dinner, so I'll go take over and run her hoe and load trucks for the rest of the day.
We are down to just the bear. So now Liam and I have to pick up the slack and move a whole bunch more dirt than we were planning on.
All right, so yeah, in the wiggle wagon yet again. We're pulling out of the cut right now. It's a lot's changed, that's for sure. I mean, I've been the one that takes the cut and moves the cut to another place. We're just filling in the hole that we'd dug out before, but all the stuff we've taken out, like off on the bank over here, is just it's liquid. It's not even mud or dirt or anything. It's just liquid. And when you throw it in the truck and the truck drives like a foot and you're bouncing around, it turns even more liquid. So I'm driving over like 40 feet of crap, I guess you can say. It's just it is utter. But yeah, so this thing loaded weighs more than the 10 does. So it's got some pretty nasty ground pressure, and it loves to sink. It's got, as far as rock truck tires are concerned, it's got really skinny ones. So, like we have our other truck there, the Volvo. Unfortunately, it's been down for some time now, but it's got some big shoes on it, so it does better on really wet ground, like this stuff. Kind of floats, whereas this thing just down it goes. Yeah, I mean, this cut, it looks a lot different than it did there a couple days ago, that's for sure. We've moved a lot of dirt. It's been all hands on deck. Every bit of equipment we have right now is in there, except I just caught wind a couple minutes ago that I was wondering why the 10 was getting pulled out of there, but I heard the lift cylinder on it finally decided didn't want to do its job anymore, which is really sucks, because with the Liebherr and the Cat working together, they can move a lot of dirt and fast and very efficiently. it's been good. It's been consistent but rough. These things shake the life out of you. I'm certain of it. I swear they're actively trying to shake your soul out of your body. You get back at the end of the day and you're just bagged and sore. Yeah, this is nice compared to this morning. Even after we put the sand in, before we packed it all down, it was horrifying. It was my nightmare fuel. You couldn't keep the thing level. And this thing is a tilt alarm that yells at you if it thinks the box is gonna flip, which is nauseating. This little beep 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 thing, that's because the box is up and I'm in gear. It doesn't like that, so it thinks I can't notice a big yellow box way up in the air behind me. But anyway, you lift that box up and you're halfway up. Next thing you know, the tilt alarm's going off because the back end of the truck's just, it's leaning and fast. So when that happens, you just want to get it out as soon as possible. You want that, you get that load out of the box. I don't know, I haven't flipped them, but in the last couple of days, I've sure come close. And it would suck if I did too. It's a shack pit in there, and it'd go over the bank too. I wouldn't be very popular, but yeah, we're just gonna make sure it doesn't happen and keep doing what we do. But yeah, no, it's all in all, it's been going pretty smooth, I think, other than running this thing. The farthest thing from smooth, but it's got to be done. Someone's gonna run it. I'm the youngest, so I can take it. That's what they tell me. This is gonna be what the rest of the day looks like for me anyway, bouncing around in the old wiggle wagon. But can't complain. Gonna get us a lot of gold in the end. But yeah, probably a couple more days of this, and then hopefully probably hop onto the Trommel and get ready to run all this stuff. So it's exciting.
Well, it's the end of another day in the Yukon. Let's go weigh up that gold that we got from last week and see what we have. That was our epic week up here in the Yukon. What we thought was going to be an awesome week in the Trommel Cut, getting the 2 dozers in there. Next thing you know, Trommel blows apart. Not unexpected, but we wanted to get as much gold out as we could before we shut her down and had to replace those punch plates. So that happened faster than I would have liked, but that's life out here. Yeah, 2 dozers in the cut, then one of them goes down. And again, it's life. It's that's what happens out here, and you have to roll with the punches, or you're just gonna get punched and fall over. But to make this episode just a little bit happier, I'm gonna show you the gold from what we did manage to sluice and jig last week. So that was 17 hours total, and yeah, let's see what I can go to town with tomorrow. So we haven't been running all week, so it's kind of bittersweet because I was hoping this would continue, but I do have some gold to show you, and it is pretty nice. It looks pretty good. So let's see what we got. So this is from 17 hours of run time in that Trommel Cut. And yeah, we finally cleaned it up, and let's see what we have. Are we ready? So yeah, pretty cool all in all. So I think we got just over 40 ounces here. I just had to dig out my pocket nuggets, as the guys call them. So when we're doing the cleanup and a bit of a chunkier piece shows up in the runs, they pick it out and go, "Oh, Allie, pocket nugget," because it's kind of a joke. I stick them in my pocket, and then usually they end up in the washing machine, and they find them again and bring them back. So but these are a couple of the ones you saw last week. Yeah, it's kind of making me chomp at the bit, because I don't know if you've noticed in this footage here this week, but the leaves are starting to turn. So now I am going to be like a reality show and go, it's kind of start panicking a little. Not a lot yet, but just, you know, the nerves are there going, we got to get this ground run before winter comes. But in any case, I hope next week we will be back up and running and digging out that Trommel Cut. And yeah, I'm hoping for big things out of it.
You gonna put those nuggets on top?
I don't want to put the nuggets on top because I'm going to keep them. And I have to give 15% of them to the ground owner, but I'll put them here so I can pick them back out again. There we go. It's super windy, so the scale is kind of going a little bit nuts, but when we weighed them inside, it was about 8 grams of nuggets. So some of those will end up in the pay dirt this winter, I'm sure. Next week, we have the trommel to repair. We have the D10 to repair, and we still have to get down to pay dirt in the Trommel Cut because it keeps going. So I can't wait to show you how next week turns out. Until then, my friends, may your beer be cold and your pants heavy. Cheers.
That's the first time you've drunk one on camera.
Ugh.